you're very welcome, everyone, to this morning's information webinar about our new short course that we launched late last year in collaboration with the AI Institute called AI for Financial Advisors and Planners. My name is Eva Lavin, and my role in LIA is Head of Education. And we're delighted to be collaborating with the AI Institute on this course. For those that might not be familiar with the AI Institute, they are the UK and Ireland's leading independent AI skills provider. And as many of you know, AI is becoming an essential part of our everyday lives, and it's crucial that we leverage it to enhance our work. And I suppose what makes this course so unique is that it's specifically designed for financial advisors and planners, ensuring that professionals in these roles can fully harness the power of AI tools and systems that are available to them. And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same, and that there are so many AI tools now available that it can be hard to know where to start. And this course, doesn't just look at every tool available, but it examines the main tools that you can use to support your everyday role and help you work more efficiently and effectively. This is our second offering of this course. So, after a hugely successful launch last year, we had our first group of students through, and we were really overwhelmed with the feedback that we got in terms of the content, how practical it was. And as I mentioned, the really unique part is that it has been tailored for financial advisors and planners. So, it's extremely relevant to your day to day work. Registrations for the next intake is open now, and the course kicks off on the 25th of February. And based on feedback that we got from the last group of students, we have given people the option to sign up for either like a Tuesday morning lectures or Thursday evening lectures. The course itself is delivered online over 4 lectures, and they're 2.5 hours each. If you have any questions, during this webinar, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll answer these questions at the end. So I'm now delighted to introduce you to our speaker today, Scott Wilkinson from the AI Institute, who will be also delivering this course. And Scott brings a wealth of experience to this course, having built 3 agencies servicing some of the world's largest consumers, financial services and B2B clients. But I'll hand you over to Scott now, and I'm sure you'll be able to tell our audience maybe a little bit more about yourself.
Thank you, Eva.
Thanks, Scott.
Amazing introduction. So yes, hello everyone. Very excited to be here again. As Eva said, it's been an absolute pleasure doing the first term of these courses. And to see people now using it, putting it into practice and changing their everyday, genuinely, that is our mission. That's what we're seeking to achieve. And we know because we did the we did the scoping by examining the tasks that you guys do on an everyday basis. We then use our AI knowledge to work out how to implement that in AI, and that's what we're now coaching out. So a bit about me. Just so you know, I'm somewhat credible. I started off as a personal finance journalist in London, working on Fleet Street. I was the deputy news editor of Mail on Sunday, financial section by the time I left that. I then founded a digital agency. I founded other marketing agencies. I've been an investor relations consultant, a version of marketing, if you will, and I have worked with Richard Branson. But all the way through this, really, kind of like finance and digital has absolutely been at the core of what I've always done in my career. So being here with you guys, it just feels that all of that experience kind of comes together, which is why, I'm especially excited by working with the LIA. So what are we going to run through today? I hope you're going to take away news you use. Obviously, I'd love you to come on the course. I think that would be of a massive benefit. But even if you don't, I'm here to give you some, I'm here to give you some tips and here to leave you with some thoughts anyway. And hopefully you will have a bit better understanding of AI once the next 40 minutes are up. So we'll talk very quickly through why AI cannot be ignored. This time last year, that was a reasonable topic for conversation. I think we could all take it as read now. We've all seen so much. Everyone's talking about it. Even if it's just shut people up and say, yes, I do know about AI. There's many reasons why it cannot be ignored, and we'll look at some of the best ones for you guys. We'll then very briefly have a look at how large language models, the generative AI that everyone's talking about, ChatGPT, etc., is an LLM. We'll talk about quickly how they work, just so you've got a mental model of what they do. And then we'll run through what it can do for you. So in terms of if you come on the course, what we'll be teaching and the things that you can expect, and how it will enhance your life, your business, your profession, etc. And then I'll give you 3 tips on using AI, which will also actually be useful prep for the course of things you can do beforehand, if that's your direction of travel. And then, as Eva said, over to you guys for questions. So the question I often ask people when they say, do I need to look at AI? And I say, well, in the context of your business, which would you prefer? Steady growth or a slow death? And the normal reaction to that is, really? Is it that dramatic? Are you not overplaying this? And honestly, as we sit here today, maybe slightly, but within the next 6 to 18 months, absolutely not. What we found in studies, and actually there's another study that PwC just published about Ireland today, which I haven't gotten across yet, but I'll give you guys an update on when I have. But effectively, we're seeing that if you adopt it as a business strategically, it boosts the business's total productivity by at least 5%, which, when we're looking for gains, is pretty good, but up to 25%. Now, as we're working with other businesses and we're getting them to track, helping them put AI skills at the heart of what they do, we're actually seeing better traction. So watch this space. I do think that 5 to 25% this year we'll see those estimates rise quite a lot. Now, kind of like the good news and the bad news is 72% of us, roughly, according to Microsoft, of us have tried it in a professional context. Those are knowledge workers, white collar workers, office workers. We've tried it, but only 15% of organizations are actually early adopters. So that means I know for a fact that there are, consultancies, practices, in businesses in your industry who are now adopting it. And they are at that early adoption phase, but look, they're not so far ahead that you can't catch up. So, we're probably moving into what we would call the early majority market, where lots more people come in. The early adopters have proven the business case. They've shown that it definitely works, that we can see the benefits. And so you tend to find that the early majority people, come in next. And I think that's where we are on this curve. But it does mean that if you're not part of that early majority, it is now at risk of falling behind. And we are, because the AI environment is changing so quickly, it's developing relatively rapidly. Currently you can come on this course and get to the forefront of the implementation, but it will be soon that it will take more than that. That there will be more things to learn, and actually doing it in one leap is going to be becoming more difficult because there'll be so much more to it, so much more to learn. So now is a good time to jump on, because it is an exponential technology. I'm sure everyone's seen, not everyone, many of you will have seen what happened with DeepSeek, in terms of a Chinese provider came out of nowhere, released a new model. It's equivalent to the American models in terms of its reasoning ability, and yet they say they trained it for $6 million when OpenAI are training models were about $500 million. You look at two orders of magnitude cheaper. So these things are moving on so swiftly. The cost of implementation is massively coming down. So again, really have to say that now is the time. And 2 things for adoption. It's about leadership teams leading that and getting those into your businesses. But also it is about coaching and training, because the technology can exist, but unless we show you how to use it, then really it's not going to go very far. Now, here are some case studies. Dermot came along it wasn't an LIA one, it wasn't specifically for financial planners and advisors, it was just our general core AI skills course. Yeah, and just through what he applied from that, he got a day a week back. Most of the people that I think have been through the course, I'd be really surprised if on average they're not getting more than that. Certainly my goal when you come on the course, we make sure that we unlock at least a week of your time. Imagine what you can do with that. And when you do it, company wide, which we're doing for lots of large business, well, from medium sized to large businesses now, you know, we see a big difference. We're seeing, you know, teams who couldn't do, who were, you know, share prices struggling, doing better investor relations, seeing, you know, seeing some movement there. We're seeing content people, you know, that we worked with, that, you know, they were resistant to AI because it was all about the analysts, the equity analysts and the economists doing the analysis, didn't think that AI could help. Competitors started doing that. And so suddenly they couldn't respond. You know, they weren't producing reports quickly enough. You know, it was still their cost base was too high. So again, going in and training them on AI has revolutionized their business, literally turned the ship around. So it can have a massive impact. And you know, you can use it in your business if you're thinking like, okay, look, we need an impetus, we need something to spark us off and get us growing again. Then definitely implementing AI, we're seeing, can definitely do that for you. Because whatever else happens on the course, I promise, these are the things you're going to get. We will show you, and I will show you how and explain how. Yeah, later in this presentation, we will show you the secret to increasing your revenue as a practice. Yeah, whilst also saving time and money. Yeah, so in other words, your margins can be a lot better than they are already. A lot better, but we can certainly improve them. We can increase your take, and we can make sure that your margins are the best they can possibly be in the current environment. So that's what you're going to get. I hope that's interesting. But as promised, I do want to leave everyone with some, you know, some better understanding of AI today. So let's start that piece now. Artificial intelligence. Yeah, I'm actually starting to prefer the word digital intelligence. Because if we think about what came before, you know, when I grew up, I learned to code a Sinclair ZX81, and that was very much the start of the digital information revolution. We then spent the next kind of like 40, oh my goodness, 40 years digitizing information. And then in 2022, along comes, you know, along comes ChatGPT, and suddenly it's all about digital intelligence. Yeah, so as well as doing the digital information, and that is still ongoing, making sure everything, but nearly all information in the world is now digital. We've now got digital intelligence, and that's the difference between the digital that we used to do and the digital that we're doing now. Now everything comes with intelligence, almost everything. So just to understand where that came from, it all started with deep learning. The idea that you could construct artificial, you could use microchips to construct artificial neural networks, and so the same structure is in your brain. And actually that structure, when replicated outside of carbon in your brain, but in silicon in the computer chip, actually had a similar kind of effect. And suddenly that then led to machine learning. And with DeepSeek over the weekend, what they've said is that there's a lot more self-learning going on with DeepSeek, which is why it learns so much quickly. So machine learning today is a really kind of like, you know, again, it's come back into the news as a really interesting topic. But effectively what machine learning does, it's systems which learn and improve from their own experience. So that's how, you know, that's how Deep Blue learned to play chess. That's how Go, you know, that's how Go was cracked, because it played billions of games on itself, worked out the best strategy, and got better at it than any human player by playing itself, self-learning. Yeah, and again, if DeepSeek has done the impossible and trained itself for $6 million, that's a key part of why that's happened. I'm skeptical, but we will see. Time will tell. I'm sure in the next few weeks we'll really understand what's gone on there. But then we get to generative AI, which is what you guys and most of us are talking about at the moment. That's your, you know, your OpenAI, your ChatGPTs, the Claude, the Gemini, all the things that we generally talk about at the moment as AI is a form of generative AI. So, you know, it's the type of AI that makes you text, it makes you pictures, it makes you audio, it makes you video. Last time I gave this, you know, I think it was October, might have been the end of September, October last year. I said, video, not here yet. How quickly things change. We will be addressing video on this version of the course because things do change very quickly. We'll also be looking at reasoning models, which we didn't on the first set in the course. So as you see, things move on, but I hope this starts to orientate you. Yeah, there is literally nothing that we are going to show you that you cannot learn. This is totally understandable from everyone from a technical background. You know, we've given you a basic description here of deep learning, machine learning, generative AI. You're not going to be tested on it. You don't need to know this. We just hope that it gives you a thought model where everything we do teach you makes a bit more sense because you kind of understand the landscape. But you don't need to fully understand it. We won't go any deeper than this. This is as technical as we are going to get. And we are going to teach you the practical skills that you can apply on a daily basis. And just to prove that, if you really want to know kind of in a bit more detail or a bit more kind of, you know, explore a bit more, Ryan Gosling, a fake Ryan Gosling, a deep fake of Ryan Gosling exists on YouTube. Just search how to fly on YouTube and you'll find deep fake Ryan Gosling explaining how large language models work. Obviously, I'm not Ryan Gosling, but I will give it a crack just very quickly. So I can hopefully help demystify the way that I'm sure you've used ChatGPT, you might have used Claude, you might have used Midjourney to create an image, or Flux, or you might even have tried Sora, the video generation engine. And roughly, they all kind of work in a similar way. And it's really easy to understand. And this is it. So obviously, you know, it starts with a text prompt. You tell it what you want, you type that in and you hit return. That then goes into the large language model. And what the model does then is it opens what it calls a context window. So a context window, you could just think of it as a chat window. Yeah, it's literally, it has all of its knowledge sitting behind what you're doing with it. But just in front of that, if you picture it as kind of like a window, it's like a context window of the things, the specific things that you're talking about. And it's memory for that session. So all the things that you're talking, you're typing away and it's responding with, it holds in its memory. Yeah, so it can better respond to what you want. You go, no, I know I said that, but what I really meant was this, and this. And can you do it like this for me, please? And don't do that. And so as you're having that chat and refining it, it keeps it in its memory. It keeps it in that context window. So then when you've typed in your query, it's gone to the large language model. The context window is opened. What it then does is it predicts what the best answer is. So again, it's really important when you're thinking about that to remember that it's a statistical model. It's a prediction model, a bit like spell check. Yeah, it's like, you know, you might have heard people say that. It's like a much grander spell check because what it's doing is looking at all the things it's been trained on and said, given that question's been asked, what's probably the right first word? Probably the second, if those are the first two, what's the third word? And so it goes on as it answers your question. And it literally just predicting the best answer. But that also means that no answers will be the same. Because if there's an 80% probability that this is the first word, yeah, and a 20% probability that this is the second word, and you get the 80% and the 20%, next time you might get the 20% and the 80%. And as you go on, obviously you can see that the answers are different. Yeah, different in terms of detail, but hopefully more or less in terms of sense, they're going to be roughly the same. But that's why you put in the same query twice and you're going to get a slightly different answer, hopefully more or less the same sense. Yeah, but yeah, slightly different. It then goes to something we call the system prompt. So it's worked out what it thinks the best answer is. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't then give it to you. It makes sure that there's nothing dangerous. There's make sure that all the other, that it's put the niceties in, or it's responding in the way that you want it to respond. It goes to the system prompt. There's another set of instructions to say, well, given that probably is the right answer, we'll filter that through here. These are the system prompts. Oh no, they're talking about this. Don't mention that. You know, oh, they like full stops. Okay, put in more full stops. And then there's the output. And so really, whilst obviously there's lots more going on behind the scenes, if we think of that as the way a large language model works and responds, yeah, you're absolutely in the ballpark of reality. So we've got those large language models, yeah, and then what the confusion is that you've got a huge ecosystem of other applications on top. So mostly there are maybe 10 core models that really drive all of these other applications. And it is, you know, and ChatGPT is one of those applications. It sits on top of the open AI model. Obviously, we tend to think of ChatGPT in a thing of itself, but it's actually an application put on the underlying artificial intelligence, the underlying large language model. And you've got all of those other ones that have got API access into one of the large models. Some of them may have developed a version by themselves. They might have taken an open source one and actually tweaked it and made it for their own purposes. But basically, all of those are based on those big, expensive LLMs that the big kind of like highly capitalized tech companies have developed. And then they've developed the apps on top. Now, mostly, there are some of those apps that we do use on a daily basis, and we recommend that you guys will be using, and we'll curate those for you. But mostly we tend to use the foundational models, the frontier models, the LLMs, because they're most current and they're most up to date. And so we can easily cut through the noise for you, because the noise is really, that's where the cost comes in, both in terms of the price and spending time that you needn't spend. So we can cut through a lot of that for you. So when you think about it, the large language models are like the decks that a DJ has, and then the apps are like the records that they pop on top. You've got to have the decks, but you also need the records, the apps. So if you just think about it like that, and again, once you're on the course, you'll be able to know what the foundational models are, and what the apps are, and be able to tell the difference. And as I said, you won't even need to worry about that, because we'll just show you what to use and how to use it to get all of those splendid benefits. So speaking of which, what can it do for you? So as I said, we worked for quite a few weeks to design this course, and we've now had the feedback of a first group of people, first group of students that have been through it. So the good news is that this is all tried and tested. You're not taking a risk, and we know that we get the message across with what we teach, and that we know that we get the adoption, and we know that it works. So well done, not for being the innovators and going first. Congratulations. And don't get me wrong, we loved our first group and cohort, completely necessary, and they were brilliant. They really were. They're enthusiastic. Couldn't have asked for more. But you are going to get an ever so slightly more refined experience, and you're not taking a risk. So, as Eva said, it's split into 4 lectures. Obviously, the first one is the most basic. It's the introduction, and also we kick off with ethical use as well, because literally in the first 15 minutes of the first lecture, you will be using AI, and you will be using AI to, if you've used it before, you'll be using it to better, you'll be using it in a way that's better than you've ever done before. Because a lot of what we do, it's not really teaching, it's showing and sharing. It's very simple stuff. Again, you do not need to be technical. There is no one on this call that will struggle with this. We will show you what to do. We will give you some space and some time to go do it during the lecture. I'll be sitting there. You can come and ask me questions. There are very few examples from last time where people got stuck. But if you do get stuck, I'm sitting there while you're doing it. You can share your screen with me, and we can brainstorm, and we can work it out. So we do the kind of show, we give you the theory, we show you how to do it, and then you get some time to actually put those practical skills. So given that you're walking away with practical skills, which is where I was going with this, I can't believe I kept my train of thought there. Quite remarkable. Given that you're going to be using it from week 1, that's why we put ethical use into week 1. Because obviously you need to know the right way to use it, and there's a bit of legal stuff as well, just to be aware of. Nothing scary. There's no problems. But again, it's good to know that before you're using it on a daily basis at Anger. And after lecture 1, we hope you are using it on a daily basis to make your lives easier. So what we will do in lecture 1 is we will get you from wherever you are, which might be 0 or slightly further on, to an absolute hero. I promise you will be able to go back to your team and go, look at what I can do, and I can teach you to do it. So you'll be able to master the basics and quite a way beyond, because we'll teach you some really good prompts, and not just here are some prompts in a prompt book that you can cut and paste, but we'll actually teach you how to write prompts. So whatever you're doing, whether it's for research or it's writing, brainstorming, you can role play with AI, you can create an audience dialogue to get some feedback on some ideas. We will teach you how to write those prompts. And I promise you will be able to leave, and some of the things you'll be able to do, you will freak other people out. You can't be surprised when you see it. And then you can demonstrate, you can astound your friends, I think is the nicest way to put it. But also we'll make sure you remain within those, remain those legal in the ethical and legal guidelines. So you'll be able to create personas of audiences or a single person. You can really start talking to them. The AI has much more depth and much more knowledge than many people realize before they start the course. And also, you'll be able to use it for compliance as well, to check that everything is compliant. And that's just lecture one. When we go on to lecture two, we'll be talking about more detail of content creation, but also knowledge bases. So what we know that after lecture two, you really will be able to increase not just the quality of your content, you'll also be able to produce more content, yeah, more relevant content for, for more people. Because I mean, what was I doing? The other day, that was right. I was writing a report on AI in engineering on all things. Now, I am not an expert in engineering. I am a practical expert in terms of how to use AI. So I come with some of the equation, but engineering is a very specific topic. It's not something I know much about at all. And yet, with the help of AI, I was able to write a report in 90 minutes. And that probably would have taken me a couple of weeks. Now, I know that report's good because I've sent it to engineers. They've said massively insightful, get all of that. Thank you very much. No amends, please. So it really can help with the quality of your content, whatever you're doing in terms of marketing, social media, client comms. It will make it cheaper. It will make it faster. And once you've mastered those skills, there's no stopping you. It is the way that I express it best is it starts to feel superhuman, that you can do things that you just couldn't do before, just impossible. Like I'm no photographer. And even if I were a photographer, I couldn't create the images that I can create. It would take me 150, I used to work at Virgin. I'd spend £150,000 taking some photos and some video. Yeah, £150,000. I'd fly to Necker Island because we needed Richard, etc. I can create those images now by myself in my office in 10 minutes. It's utterly remarkable. So 10 times faster, 10 times cheaper, depending upon what you're doing, that's an absolute underestimate. But whatever you're doing, even if you don't use images at the moment, it's just because, well, now you can, because they're free once you've got a subscription to the right AI package. So all of that's going to come with, going to show you how to create words, images, audio, and actually I should have appended their video as well. But also creating a knowledge base is a really interesting thing for you to do. And we use lots of them in our own work, and we know that our clients are now reliant upon them. All that means is you're uploading your own knowledge to the GPT, and we will show you how to do that safely, securely, privacy, legally. All of those boxes can be ticked and will be ticked, and we'll show you how to tick them to make sure that that is completely risk-free. But then once you've got it in the large language model, you can talk to your information. So you can upload a spreadsheet, and then you can tap in a search query, and you can talk to it. What about this? What about this? What about that? Or if it's some HR documentation, again, you can talk to it. If it's your sales pipeline, whatever it is, you can upload all of the knowledge, all of the data, and then you can actually talk to it and respond, and it will respond to you as if it were a human being. Absolutely remarkable. So knowledge bases, key piece of knowledge, key capability for you guys, for you guys to do. You want to create some FAQs, you want to create a client briefing. Yeah, it can all be done with the specific knowledge, not just for your industry, but for your business, for your particular client. Never upload it with their names or addresses. Make sure they're unidentifiable. But again, we'll show you all the potential pitfalls, and we'll show you how to overcome and how to anonymize things. It's really easy. It's not complex. And once we show you how to do it, you'll be fully up to speed. So as I said, I promised that we will show you how to grow your business, and lecture 3 is all about that. It's about your sales activity and your pipeline management. Yeah, so we really will coach you to accelerate the growth. We'll show you how to create a larger sales funnel that actually stays larger all the way down. So you've got a big pipeline, broad at the top, some good conversion rates at every stage of that. So it drops down through to increased revenue. We also do quite a lot about client retention, and client in terms of, creating more business from existing clients. They are the lower hanging fruit. They will convert more quickly. So again, that's something we tackle in this as well. It isn't just about new prospects and new sales. It's about making sure you're maximizing the base that you're already servicing. So the way that we do it is we teach it by the challenger approach. It's a particular sales methodology. So by the end of this lecture, you'll also understand the challenger methodology, and we'll show you how to use AI to supercharge that. You'll know the theory, you'll be there on the practice, and you will know how to use all the tools you need to create that bigger pipeline at the top that stays bigger all the way around, and he's bigger at the bottom in terms of client retention, and average client value. All of that is included. And then for the final lecture, the last couple of things, because it was in strong demand when we did the original interview, and I think people appreciated it when we did the first lecture series, is HR, because HR is very, very time consuming. Writing a job description, writing a job ad, getting it published, looking at CVs, and then the other side of that, onboarding someone, keeping them kind of, motivated and informed, all of that whole HR thing, it takes a lot of time, which is why large companies have very large HR teams. And obviously in smaller businesses, that isn't always possible, and it often falls to many of us to be the HR person. So we can make the HR problems, we can't make them go away completely, but we can make them much smaller. We can make them take up less of your time, so you can focus on the other things that generate revenue. And also you will be able to do HR better, because again, AI can help you improve the quality of the experience for your potential new employees throughout kind of like the recruitment, and then the onboarding, and then kind of like the general process of being part of your business. It can massively help with that. So lecture 4, we cover that, and then we also do data analysis, which is game changing. I am a digital person. I don't mind a spreadsheet. I'm quite competent in Excel. I can even do a bit of coding if I really am pushed. But oh my goodness, I'm no data scientist. But what I can now do, and what we will teach you to do, is pull insights out of any data you upload. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be that structured. We will teach you how to get AI to structure the data. But if it is already structured, you could instantly start pulling insights out, whether that's the profitability of your business, whether it's your client pipeline, your sales pipeline, whatever data you bring. AI is brilliant at spotting patterns and saying, these are the trends, this is what's happening, and then these are the outliers. And oh, by the way, this doesn't look right. Yeah, here are some potential issues that you need to look at. Not only is it an outlier, it kind of doesn't feel right. It looks like a risk. Why don't you have a closer look at this? So that pattern detection engine, which is absolutely at the heart, because that statistical probability thing that we talked about earlier, that pattern detection is so important, and you can benefit so much from it just from doing lecture 4. Yeah, in terms of the implications for what the abilities it gives you and how you can better run your business, because you've got more insight. It takes you from being trying to be a data analyst into actually being a business person that gets the insights and can go implement those suggestions. So look, very conscious of time, very conscious that we want to give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions, and I can see a couple have already been posed. So look, we're going to finish off, as I promised, with, if you're not going to come on the course, 3 tips. Yeah, in terms of, go and have a look at these. You can implement these. I hope I know that if you do it, it will massively help your everyday life. But if you are going to come on the course, just 3 things you can do before the course. And, it will help you get in the right place for when you arrive on lecture 1. So my first top tip is subscribe to a paid large language model. So ChatGPT is the most obvious one, and still I would say the best all-rounder. Whilst there was a few days where I was said, oh, it's Claude. Claude's the best all-rounder. You probably want to do Claude. ChatGPT then comes back. So ultimately, if you want an all-rounder, you're just going to use one, then ChatGPT is the best currently and has been for a while. Claude, however, if you're thinking you're going to use it for writing tasks, so the main thing you want is gorgeously written language, and then Claude actually does have the edge. Its reasoning capabilities, its logic, its maths, all of those other bits that it didn't used to do so well have had a massive upgrade. So you absolutely can now use it as an all-rounder, whereas, again, when we taught the first cohort, it was a case of no, use Claude for the finessing. Even the free version, actually, you'd be able to pay for ChatGPT, finesse the language in Claude. It's all good. However, now Claude's an absolute contender. So then you've got Copilot, which again should be you know, for most of us who are Microsoft people using Microsoft things, I'm a Mac user, but I still use Microsoft apps inside the Apple environment. You know, so that's a mark of, you know, Microsoft really for business. Some of you might be on Google, but most of us are on Microsoft. So Copilot, because it can see all of the data, in other words, the documents you've written and the spreadsheets you've got, and it's all, you know, everything on your OneDrive or your SharePoint. Theoretically, especially as Copilot are using OpenAI technology, the same technology that ChatGPT is built on, would be killing it. Yeah. At the moment, not so much. Yeah. It's useful if you are a Microsoft house. I do use Copilot. I'm not going to say every day, but I do 2 or 3 times a week. It's quite useful for finding emails, Teams messages. There are things that Copilot can do. I also do use it for a bit of data analysis. It's not the best, but it is built into Excel for me. So, you know, why wouldn't I? It's right there. However, yes, if you have an option, and if your IT team will allow you, ChatGPT or Claude would be my best thing. So subscribe to a paid LLM. Yeah. Free is a false economy, because once you've paid, you're able to safeguard your data and make sure it doesn't get exposed to the rest of the world. That's not true on the free product. Like everything else, like Facebook, if you're not paying for it, guess what the product is? The product is you, and you're being sold to somebody else, your data, your information. Yeah. Now, with the large language models, it's probably just their own training. But again, anything you post will get wrapped into that training. Very unlikely, you know, it's a C, so very, very unlikely that it'll ever be exposed to somebody else. But it is in there, and it has gone in there. And strictly speaking, if it's certainly if it's private data, you know, that could be a breach of EU law. So get a paid model, and then look at the settings, make sure you are safeguarding your data. You'll also get much more features once you're starting to pay with it. So you can input images, you can talk to it now. That is a remarkable experience. If you've not done it already, you can actually have a conversation with the machine, and it stops feeling like a machine. That really has come on leaps and bounds. And then as you get upgrades, yeah, you will find that there are big leaps in capabilities that do make a big difference to what you're doing. You get those first if you're, you know, if you're a paid user. And what we see, as soon as you go from free to paid, you go from, oh, this is all right. Yeah, kind of, it's kind of, yeah. I mean, I use it sometimes to, oh, okay, that is good. So yeah, strong recommendation. If you're going to use it, certainly on a daily basis or even 2 or 3 times a week, free is a false economy. Go paid. My next tip is Google less and Plex more. Plex is the verb we use for using an app called Perplexity. Again, it's quite a lot bigger. It's got quite a lot bigger in the last 3 months. Although I will also say, if you're paying for ChatGPT, that now has effectively Perplexity's, because there's massive competition out there, Perplexity's features kind of wrapped in. I still use Perplexity, but yeah, if you are looking to subscribe to one, again, all of these features I'm just about to talk about with Perplexity also built into ChatGPT now. So what it means, though, is with either of those apps, you can now, rather than Google, type in a query and then get a list of search results, which then you have to click. And guess what? There are lots and lots and lots of ads. Google was brilliant 6-10 years ago. Awesome. But then they needed the cash. Yeah, they've completely over monetized it. It's difficult to see the answer you want. So you normally end up clicking on a sponsored link, going, okay, that's not what I want, finding others, clicking around, and Googling can now take a long time. You certainly don't get an overview. What Perplexity does and what web search does on ChatGPT now is that you put in your query, you can ask the question, and the answers, not the links, the answers come before your eyes. What it does is it goes out to the web. Yeah, it does this Google search. It looks at all of those websites. It then puts kind of like ranks which is the, you know, which is right, which is going to ignore, brings all of that knowledge back together, and then puts it back to you in natural language. So I've been using this now for let's say 6 to 8 months. I barely Google. I only Google now if I want a specific website that has a specific functionality. If I'm looking for knowledge, I don't Google anymore, and I save hours, sometimes hours in a day. because again, it just, all that research I would have done via Google with multiple queries, I can now, might have taken an hour, 90 minutes. I can now do that almost instantly. Yeah, and don't worry, you can validate the answers it brings back because it gives you web links, so you can go and actually see the web pages if you feel you need to. Yeah, but you can also do things like publish your page. That it will create a page for you, and you can publish it, and you can share it. You can share it with others. So, if you do nothing else after this, yeah, go pay ChatGPT, use Perplexity or ChatGPT's because you'll be paid. Yeah, use its web search. The last thing I'm going to share with you, yeah, is how to really get to grips with how far we've come, yeah, and have a play around with Notebook LM. Yeah, it's a Google product, and effectively you just need to upload one piece of content. Yeah, it then create it will that you can then create FAQs from it, and it's that knowledge base thing I was talking about earlier, a very specific version of the knowledge base. And it can do all the things you expect it to do. It can summarize it, frequently asked questions, all sorts of things. But then it will also create a podcast style piece of audio, which I just find absolutely thrilling still. So before Christmas, I wrote and released a white paper called Cheaper Than a Peanut. Cheaper than peanut because the computing power of GFlop, a gigaflop, which is just a measure of how quickly computers can compute information, is now cheaper than a peanut. So I wrote a paper based on that, saying and that's why we've now got digital intelligence, and this is how it needs to be in the world. In terms of the things we need to do now, we've got digital intelligence. So I wrote that white paper. That's not important. But what I did is I uploaded it to Notebook LM, and it generated this, and it did it instantly.
Okay, so you ready to go deep on AI today?
Always ready.
All right, cool. So we're diving into this white paper draft called Cheaper Than a Peanut. And
Catchy title, right?
yeah,
Too.
when I first saw it, I was like, is this about like snack food or like supercomputers?
Right.
But turns out it's kind of both.
Yeah. It's about how the cost of computing power is like
Yeah.
plummeting. And that's what's driving this AI revolution.
Exactly. And it's
I think that's remarkable. All I did was upload my white paper, say generate audio, and that's what we got back. Absolutely astounding. And you can do that with any piece of content. Give it a go after this. Upload something. Upload a really boring document, not with any any information that would identify people, but take a document from one of the pension providers. Upload that, yeah. And if you're in the car, listen to the podcast. Absolutely remarkable. I actually do that. Things that I haven't got time to read, I upload to there. I generate a podcast. I access it by my phone, and I listen to it in the car. Absolutely genius. Change the way I work. So do give that a go. So as we come up to almost 10:45, I'm going to land it nearly on the button for us because I said we'd get this done, the first bit done in 45 minutes, giving you guys a chance to ask the question. So just a reminder that genuinely we're going to help you increase the size of your business. You will become more efficient in terms of you will be handled personally as an advisor. You will be or a planner. You will be able to handle more accounts, do more business. So you will become more productive. Your business can become more productive. The revenue will grow, but also because you won't be needing to hire people to do those extra things, you will be saving time personally and at the business level. You will be saving money, and you do these things, and generally we can increase the rate of profit. We can lengthen those margins for you, and all this for a price of €600 for LIA members. And if you're not an LIA member, it's still accessible for €700. The QR code that you might be able to see in the top right of your screen there, that will take you directly to the page to book. It would be an absolute pleasure to have you with us. As Eva said, it will be me taking the course. I promise I will explain everything in very simple language. You do not need to be technical. This isn't something to get worried about. This is really easy, and we can get you all of those benefits from an absolute standing start. No experience necessary. That's me.
Great. Thanks for that, Scott. That was brilliant and loads of information there. I think it's great just to see, as you were taking us kind of through the lectures, the tailored approach to the course. It really is, I think, incredible to see like what's actually, available out there. And we do know that it is, very overwhelming for people to maybe know where to start. So it's great that, this course will be looking at some of those key AI tools that people can leverage as part of their role. Just to mention, we're also delighted to have Scott back with us next month for an LIA member event about applying AI in finance. So this is a free event for LIA members. So if this is a topic of interest to you, I'd really encourage you to register for that today, and you can do that through the LIA website. Before we get into the questions, for anyone who might have missed the information at the beginning, in terms of the course start dates and registration, registration is now open for the next intake of this course, which starts on the 25th of February. It's 4 lectures, and they're 2.5 hours each, delivered live and online. There is a week off in the middle. So the lectures are delivered over 4 weeks. There is a week off in the middle just to allow for that bank holiday and the midterm in March. There are two options as well available to those that might be interested. You can register to do the course on a Tuesday morning or a Thursday evening. So there's that flexibility if a morning or evening suits people better. And you can register through the LIA website, and we'll also be sending everyone an email afterwards with a copy of this recording and just some more information about the course and how to register. So I can see that there is a couple of questions in. So probably a lot of these probably be for you, Scott. So the first one is, I suppose, like without specifying any personal information, example names and addresses, can you insert data, say via Excel, to automate client profiling and demographics?
Very simple answer. Absolutely. Yeah. That's that, and that's just the start of it. What I probably should have mentioned is that through the course, what I've created for us is we start with using a few profiles of potential customers that, real people. They're not real people, but they've got enough background, enough data that I've created associated with them to provide real instances of that. And I absolutely will show you how to do the analysis of your target audience, so who your client base is. We can then deep dive. So once we've got that uploaded, we can find that again. You're right, anonymize it. It's really easy. It's not difficult, and we can still then, when we're offline, like know who we're talking about if we want to get individual. But we just keep that on our machines. We don't upload that. Very, very simple technique. We will then know what the profile demographics are, and we can then create communications or product recommendations. So much stuff we can do once we've done that initial data. And the whole course, through the course, I will take you through all of those steps. So from actually analyzing the data, knowing who you should talk to, and then finding out what they're more likely to respond to, the messaging that you should give them, the content that we can create them, the channels through which we can reach them. Yeah, honestly, just finding that profiling and demographic data is the very start of what we're going to show you. I'll show you not only how to do that, but then what to do with that and how that can impact your business.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Next question is, how reliable is the data output by the algorithm?
So it's very, very reliable, but it is not infallible. A year ago, a big issue was hallucinations, in terms of the AI just inventing answers, and no one knew why. However, obviously, that being kind of like a real problem with the AI, over the last 12 months, hallucinations have become less and less and less of a problem. I do not generally encounter them on a day-to-day basis anymore. However, where there is something that is critical, that if I've got this wrong, there's going to be egg on my face, then there's things we can do. The first thing we can do is go to another LLM, and we go, I think this is true. Can you please find me evidence? And so, especially with the web search models, for those key facts, the things that you're going, okay, that, I trust you, ChatGPT, but I need to know for sure. We can double check those instances. But because it's doing so much of the work for you, and so much of that context, doing that extra, checking for hallucinations is really now, especially because, if you've done it in ChatGPT, then go to Perplexity. Yeah, there are so many ways that we can cross-check, and it doesn't take very long, that it doesn't decrease the utility. And we'll teach you all of those techniques. Yeah, because nothing is invaluable. Yeah, everything makes mistakes. However, I will say that the rate of accuracy is now incredible. Having from someone that's used it from the start, where you had to be so careful, and it could just make up lots of stuff. Really haven't experienced that for over 6 months. So it's a question of, we'll show you the techniques to check, so there isn't egg on your face. And trust me, because we use it in our everyday and literally don't do anything major without the help of AI now. We've developed all the techniques, and we'll share those with you.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Just on the podcast example you gave there, someone's asking, like, can you change the accents on it?
It's funny, Jerry, I saw your question come up and I thought you were asking if I could do an Irish accent. The answer is, you really don't want that. On the podcast, though, currently, no, they are those two Americans. However, look, that was only released, that feature was only released 3 months ago, maybe 4 months ago. They've done lots of other things, and they've acknowledged that is definitely on their roadmap. So within the next 2 to 3 months, you will be able to listen to a whole range of different accents and different voices. We're fully expecting that. Actually, I need to check back, because I did hear someone tell me that you could do that already if you have the paid version. So it might actually be possible already, but certainly all of us are going to get access to that, within relatively short measure.
Right. Any major pitfalls when inserting identifiable data?
So I think the question is, maybe it's other major pitfalls. So yes, you've taken the point that definitely do not insert identifiable data. That is against the GDPR. Yeah, that's a definite no-no. Again, easy not to do. We'll show you how. Other pitfalls, we've just talked about hallucinations, and that's a major pitfall. We've talked about that. Another major pitfall is boring answers. Yeah, that it actually just being a bit meh. And that's exactly what we're going to show you how not to do. Because obviously, when you don't have the knowledge, no one's shown you how to use these things, and you just tap in you tap something in as a prompt, the answers can easily be a bit meh. Yeah, but I promise, we will go from meh to wow. Everything you do will be like wow, wow. And it is easy to be excited. It's a very positive experience using AI, because no matter how much I use it, I still haven't lost that wonder of, oh wow, that was instant. Oh my goodness, I am a superhero. It really feels like that on a daily basis. So totally, meh is a problem. Yeah, but we will show you every time how to overcome that. And once on the course, you'll never get that feeling again.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Can you set up Teams to make summary notes after an online meeting?
Yes, you absolutely can. Depends what version of Teams you've got. The standard version of Teams, I think, now comes with you get the recording and it will give you the transcript. I think that is in the standard version. Once you get Copilot, which is still depends what industry you're in. I think I talked to an NGO yesterday, and they were getting Teams for they were getting Copilot for a lot less. But normally it was 3 months ago a 2-year deal, cost you the best part of £600 per user. It may have changed. I need to check. But once you've got Copilot in, then you've got the full meeting summary of that. So yeah, it will give you the notes, it will give you the action items, and actually we will show you various productivity apps in this space on the course. Fathom and TLDV are two others that we strongly recommend. I personally use TLDV. But what Teams is great at is, because it does it natively, you just have to say, you just have to put the yes, please record automatically. We'll also teach you about the new meeting etiquette, that you do need to tell people that it's being recorded, and that it will be subject to kind of analysis via AI. And even if you only have the basic Teams version, it's annoying, because when you cut the transcript out, it puts all the speaker names and the time codes at random places, and it's the premium version doesn't do that, but the basic version still does. I know, because I had to use a client's basic version the other day to do this. It's very annoying, but If you then feed it into, obviously you then need to take people's names out, but if you then feed it into another LLM that isn't Copilot, so if you are a ChatGPT subscriber, you can then do that in ChatGPT. So what I'm trying to say is, if you've got Copilot, it will do it all within Teams. If not, make sure that you are taking the names out and you're anonymizing it, but then take it to a different LLM, and all of the LLMs, or certainly Claude, Copilot and ChatGPT, do a fantastic job of creating those notes. Because again, what you're doing is, when you're uploading that, you can talk to the transcript. So you can ask it questions and it will come back with answers. It's like it becomes a human being. The data, whatever data, whether it's words or numbers or even pictures, becomes data that you can talk to. So any questions you have, you can just ask it and you'll get a really good answer. Again, and you can then say to it, show me the transcript where it is, show me the exact quote. So if you're worried about hallucinations, again, it's just another thing we'll show you in how to double check.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Can you embed the LLM into the company website to construct a profiling questionnaire or to guide a person to the information they are looking for on the website?
So the short answer to that is yes. Although chatbots, are something that we won't be teaching you how to do in the course. You will have all the basic skills to use LLMs, but we won't be doing chatbots in the course because it does need still specific skills. So the last thing you want to do is train a chatbot and it be 98% right, but 2% wrong, because guess what's going to happen? So that level of training, we still advise you have a developer involved, and that there's it's a piece of development where you need test and learn. It needs to be a structured program and it needs to be done really carefully, because as soon as you're putting a chatbot into the public domain, obviously it has to be absolutely right, and anything that goes wrong, can harm your reputation. So what we will show you how to do is to create a knowledge base for internal use. And as a customer service person, you can use that knowledge base to answer customer queries on the phone, via email, or in any, if you are on a live chat, you're on a live WhatsApp with them, it's going to be incredibly helpful for you. But if you're actually going to cross the Rubicon and have an equivalent in a chatbot format on your website, that's still a piece of development work that we strongly recommend. Now, we can help you, we can orientate you, and we can give you great people to do that. But that piece of technology still needs a bit of extra input. It's not prime time for us. Now, that will change. That will probably change this year. But as we live and breathe today, it's not quite there yet.
Great. Thanks, Scott. There's a couple of questions in just around the course itself, and is there any exams? So as far as I'm aware, Scott, like there's no exam at the end, but I think there are kind of homework pieces that people will do as part of the course. Is that right?
Absolutely correct, and you'll get a certificate as well. So it's not CPDable at the moment. We're working on that, and we will get there. But yes, you will get homework. Also, I make myself available. So if you want to go through the homework, I did do a couple of sessions with a couple of people. I'm happy to jump on the call for 15 minutes if you're stuck. This time around, actually, Eva, we've also launched a help desk. So what will happen is we'll give you the help desk address, and then you can email the help desk if you need any help. So for no further cost, that will be available to everyone. So if you're doing your homework, you're going, this isn't making sense, I don't know how to do this, should I use this app or this app, where am I, please orientate me, just get in touch with the help desk. If I can't help you over email, then we can jump on a quick call, and get that all sorted.
That's great. And I think, Scott, like the feedback we had from people that done the course last year as well is that there is a huge amount of support there available as you're doing the course as well. So I suppose for people who might be a little bit nervous, they might be quite new to AI as well, and might not be familiar with some of the tools, there is that support available as well to help you, because even last year there was a mixture of people, in the class. Some people were just kind of, more at kind of the learning stage. They weren't that familiar with the AI tools. Then some people were a bit more advanced. So I know, Scott, you are really great at kind of balancing, you're the lectures out to kind of support kind of both people as well in the class. Just some people are asking as well, just are there any other dates for the course, outside of February? So like given the demand that we're kind of experiencing, the interest that we have in this course, yes, we will be planning, another offering later in the year. We just don't have dates for that yet. So the next, I suppose, intake is February, and then once that's finished, we'll probably be planning something then for kind of later on in the year. So I think that's really all we've time for. Just to say thank you so much to Scott for joining us this morning. We really hope to see many of you now on the course in February. And thank you all for joining us as well this morning. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you.